Now, I don't want to think I'm being short with you. Maybe I'm not understanding your question. Let me come back to you. I don't want to be short. Okay, good.
Well, my point was this. You have been associated with Minister Farrakhan in...
What do you mean by associated? See, you use these funny words. Let me tell you why I'm so worried about words. Let me tell you why I'm worried about words nowadays. When this business came about Zaire, first they said, well, he made an overly aggressive pass at this woman. But by the time they finished months later, it had become sexual assault, which could have even included rape. And there are people in my district think that I was accused of rape. So when you take a word like associated, you're supposed to be a journalist. I was a journalist for 20 years, an award-winning journalist. And at one point, for years, I was an editor. And I happened to be a wordsmith. What do you mean by I'm associated with Minister Farrakhan? That could cover so many different things. Be more specific to me.
Okay. Were those not members of the Nation of Islam that were standing in front of you on the stage? All right, so that would be one
association. Then say that. No, say that. You said, I had members of the Nation of Islam standing there. The answer is yes. What's your question about that?
The question is this. Could it not also be logical that part of the motivation in Jewish donors to your opponent would be, in fact,
their fear? Therefore I stand in there? Well, let me answer that. That's very simple. Obviously, that cannot be true because the donations were made prior to the FOI and the rally. So you see, you could answer that yourself. Now I'll answer that question.
As you may know, last week in Chicago, the American Jewish Committee's Chicago office, Lane Wishner, Jonathan Levine,
what office, I'm sorry?
The executive director and another top staff person of the Midwest Regional Office of the American Jewish Committee.
Okay, what about it?
Found this speech, after reviewing a tape of this speech, they found it in its context and in its entirety to be shot through with anti-Semitism and to be completely reprehensible in its singling out of Jewish political activity and with the implicit and at times explicit suggestion that there was something unclean about Jewish political activity.
I'm not interested in what they said. Tell me, is there something in that speech that made you feel like, you talk about this speech, not what some group said. I'm not even interested.
Yes.
What is in this speech that you think of that? But say it. Ask me about it.
The context, the history of your relationships and the various things that you've done make it clear to me.
What history?
You're asking me my opinion?
No, I ask you
this. It's shot through with anti-Semitism.
I ask you that. Give me one instance in the speech that you consider to be anti-Semitic.
The entire speech, its context, it's singling out.
But you can't think of one instance. You can't think of one instance in the speech.
It's singling out of Jewish political activity.
Give me the instance now. What was the
instance? I made many notes.
No, give me any one. I'm going to go through all your notes. Just give me one instance in the speech.
The entire context of the speech, Congressman.
No, give me one instance. That's the same. Okay. Thanks. Okay. You don't know one instance, but the whole thing is that way. But you can't tell. That's like saying that dog is brown, but you can't find anything brown. So can you show me one little piece of it that's brown? No. But the whole thing is brown. Well, next question.
Did you single out Jewish political activity as somehow unclean?
Next question. No, I didn't do that. Anybody saw it and said I didn't do that. I talked about AIPAC. AIPAC, don't confuse AIPAC with the Jewish community. Don't make that mistake. AIPAC, I'm not convinced that AIPAC is even, it would have the support of the majority of the Jewish community, particularly if they were aware of what AIPAC is about. So don't confuse AIPAC and these spin-off and possibly illegal PACs with the Jewish community. You'll notice something interesting in the Bible. Other PACs kind of indicate what they do, like say the Teamsters PAC. It's called DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E. That's an acronym, meaning drive. We think of Teamsters and drive, right? Their PACs say something what they're about. Or the American Medical Association PAC or what have you. These PACs, if you notice, have some strange names. Say nothing about Israel, nothing to characterize them. Garden City PAC, Hudson Valley PAC, Good Citizenship PAC. Isn't that nice? But when you cross-reference the directorates, you see, then you see what so they try to hide it themselves. So it makes me say that I would not be surprised if the majority of the American Jews do not agree with this. I was talking about AIPAC, and the only reason I read the names is to prove that they were associated with AIPAC. That's what I'm talking about. Now, pardon me, who was it? Somebody who had, have you a question before? Go right ahead, sir.
Congressman Jim Nash with INN and WGN in Chicago. From the speech, watching this, as a Washington journalist, I can tell you in the context of that speech that there seem to be two issues here that I'm asking you about, and I'm asking you to try to bridge the gap between these.
Okay. In the speech, right?
Yes,
okay.
In the context of the speech. You're talking about black-white racism, which seems...
No, I never said black.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean by what is black-white racism?
Okay. The issue of color. The issue of color.
I said racism is white. There ain't no black racism.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I won't even dispute.
Oh, okay. No, if you did. Okay, let's get
definitions.
I'll never get your question.
Yeah. And the other issue.
No, I didn't get that first one yet. The first part, I haven't gotten it. What's the first question? Oh, the first issue. The first issue you
to tell us is, in Congress here, there is no question in the Washington news media that one of the taboos is to press too hard with any member of Congress about support for Israel. Now, you speak openly about that issue. Why do you believe? I'm trying to get...
One of the taboos you say is not to press too hard. I don't understand what you mean. You mean don't ask questions about what? I don't think you're saying.
What I'm saying is...
You said in the Washington news media...
Members of Congress run away from...
Oh, okay, now I got it.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
all right. Okay. And instead, you run right at it. You confront
it. Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
That was clear.
Sure,
Okay. I'm trying to get your view on it now. Why do you believe that confronting this issue head-on of support for Israel, why do you believe that it is so strongly denounced as anti-Semitism? Because there's a distinction there. Okay? Now, why do you believe that you're so strongly accused of that? I'm trying to get your view of that.
Okay, you got two. That's hard for me to answer because you probably know more about white folks than I. So maybe you can talk to them and try to find out. I don't know. Like I said, you have to figure out and find. My record certainly doesn't feed into it. I have no record of anti-Semitism. When I was in college, in fact, I was a founding member of the first interracial fraternity in this country in preference to joining Kappa, which is a more popular black fraternity. Nothing in my record does that. So you have to figure that part. But the first part was what I take it head on. I think, let me think. I think that's more honest. And you don't know this because you only go by what you read, the lives of others. But I happen to be a very honest person. My major in undergraduate school was not political science. I did some graduate work in political science, foreign affairs. My major was philosophy because I was always concerned about the question of integrity and honesty and so forth. I think it's more honest. And also, coming up as I came up in the streets of Chicago, we as kids thought it was a source of pride that you stand up to a person. If you didn't like a person rather than say you did, you thought that if you were wrong, you would stand up and say, I don't like you, and you have to do the best thing. I just think that's more honest. The deviousness